Hello everyone, welcome to TPNN, the Profile Netcasting Network, broadcasting from the Profile in beautiful downtown Vancouver. Brought to you by Mr. Taxes. Visit them at mrtaxes.ca. You're listening to The Allan Knight Show, your business communications coach.
Good afternoon, everyone. Allan Knight here, as we are every Thursday afternoon at 3 o'clock Pacific Standard Time with the Allan Knight Show. It's the business communication show, which is all about helping you to master the art of communication on many levels. We have guests sometimes, we have training tips sometimes. Today is one of those weeks where we're going to focus on a training tip, a very specific issue, which I call how the mastering your emotions can increase and improve your level of success. And we're going to relate it to something in the recently happened in the news. We'll get to that in a minute, but I always like to welcome our producer and director of the show, Mike Zahora. Mike, how are you doing?
Good. How are you doing, Allan?
Good. I thought I would ask you for a couple of tips, since you're an expert in video, YouTube, and that's part of communication, right?
Exactly.
Why don't you give the listeners a couple, 2, 3 of the most important tips that they should know as they embark on doing video online?
The most important tip I can give anybody for doing online video is put your camera on a tripod, period. Right? You want your camera to be steady. You don't want it, be holding it out in your hand and moving and shaking. Just put it on a tripod. If you don't have a tripod, just put it on a counter or someplace that it just keeps it stable. And the second tip is use lights, right? Like, sitting in a dark room with no matter how good your video camera is, it's going to look like crap. But as soon as you put some light in there, right? Even you just going to your big box Home Depot store or whatever and buy some of their lights and just shine them on you.
But does the light go behind you or in front of you?
Well, no, it's behind the camera facing towards you.
Okay.
So it's basically...
Just like now.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. And, good light and a decent quality camera will give you better results than a really good camera and no lights.
Right. But if somebody is at home and puts a tripod up, do they have to go turn it on, go do the video, and then turn it off and then edit it? Is that what they have to do?
Pretty much. Or a lot of cameras have little remote controls with them now too. So you just hit play. You don't have to get up. Hit stop when you're done.
Is that easy?
That easy.
Really?
Yep.
And what about the camera? What level of camera should people get?
Again, that really depends on your budget, right? Getting a good camera is important, but also getting, software to edit your videos is also important.
Right. What about, I could see sitting behind a desk or at home and you want to do a professional video, you want to keep it stable. But what happens when people take out their iPhones or smartphones and they're out and about and they're walking around and they don't have a tripod, but let's say I was going to interview you. It's shaking a bit.
It's still shaking. I mean, it's almost a genre in itself where people are using their phones to record the videos.
So it's okay. It's acceptable.
It's okay. It's acceptable, right? But if you want to produce, good quality.
Better quality.
Yeah, put it on a tripod or just stand it up somewhere so it doesn't move.
So should get a tripod, get some lighting, and get a decent camera, and you're off and running.
You're off and running. And software where you can edit it.
Wonderful. Good advice. Thank you, sir.
No problem.
That's our video tip of the Allan Knight, the Allan Knight Show, your business communication show from the Profile downtown Vancouver, Gastown, every Thursday afternoon, 3 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, and sponsored by Mr. Taxes at mrtaxes.ca. Today I want to talk about a very specific topic that's very dear to my heart, and I guess I will call it how mastering your emotions can secure and increase your success. The emotional area of our lives are often kind of put on the back burner. We talk a lot about the mind and positive thinking, and we talk about making money, and we talk about taking action, and we talk about social media. But when it comes to the emotions are kind of hidden there. And I'm going to use a very specific recent example in the news to drive a point home. Now, I want to make it clear that this example that I'm using is only an example, but you could take this extreme example and kind of relate it somewhere to your life. Now, the example I'm using is a couple of days ago, and I asked Mike about it. He didn't know about it because you don't listen to the news too much, right? You just follow what? What was it?
Oh, I just watch YouTube and the Colbert Report.
The Colbert Report and YouTube. I watch the news sometime. Anyway, most of you probably are aware that 2 days ago, an NFL professional football player, I believe his name is Aaron Hernandez, was arrested. And let's make it clear that we don't know 100% sure that he actually committed a murder, but he's arrested, and it looks like he might have been very involved in committing a murder to actually a good friend of us who was found dead. And Aaron Hernandez, only a couple of years ago, was drafted by the New England Patriots, and the last contract he received was $40 million. We're talking about $40 million contract. Now, the story goes like this. Apparently, this gentleman that was killed, who was his friend, was at a bar with him and said some things that he didn't like, that Aaron Hernandez didn't like. For whatever reason, he didn't like them. He was angry, and then he went on texting people saying you can't trust anybody anymore. Next thing you know, the guy's dead. Now, let's presume that there's the possibility that he committed the murder or was very involved in the murder. I just want you to think, ladies and gentlemen, about here's a gentleman who's earning $40 million, who looks like, if he's convicted, could spend the rest of his life in jail, completely lost not only the $40 million, but what might come after that, an amazing potential lifestyle, all gone down the tubes because of a disproportionate emotional reaction to an excess. So I just want you to think of what happens here. This gentleman's in a bar. Let's just paint the potential picture here. This gentleman's in the bar with his buddy. His buddy says whatever he says. This person takes exception to it and gets very angry. We all get angry. Do you get angry sometime?
Occasionally.
Right, occasionally I get angry more than you. So we get angry. The thought is, this guy's an idiot. I don't trust him. I don't like what he said. That's the thought. That's the rational thought. I don't like this guy. I don't like what he said. Then emotionally, I react with anger. I'm PO'd. I'm upset. Now, there's two ways to handle this. There is the self-mastery way of handling it, realizing that I'm upset, I'm angry, and I take responsibility for my anger and then walk up to this guy and tell him how I feel. Express how I feel, even if it means tough love in the moment. I'm very upset with what you said. You know, I've trusted you for a long time, and this really, really bugs me that you did it. And I'm asking you in the future not to do this again. That's called channeling your anger into assertive communication. Now, if on the other hand, we become a victim of our emotions and a victim of our negative mind, because the negative mind, the rational mind could be positive. If you and I discuss a plan of action, Mike, today, because we want to put some really fantastic, unique video together, you and I are going to discuss this using our rational mind in a positive, creative way.
Yes.
That's the positive use of the rational mind. The negative part of the rational mind, either our mind gets really hyperactive. Some of you out there can relate to it, where you think too much, think, and it sucks all your energy and you get exhausted. Or you have some negative thought patterns, which are like infections and viruses of the mind. And if you buy into them, they'll build up like a cancer. So if I build up that I don't like Mike, because Mike, I don't trust you, Mike, and I feel very negatively about you, and I have these negative belief systems about you, and I get more angry toward you. If I allow myself to become a victim of those negative thoughts toward you and those negative feelings toward you, sooner or later, either it's going to erupt into going crazy and putting you down and criticizing you or trying to fight with you, or in this guy's case, perhaps killing someone to that level, which ruined his life. Or some people go to the opposite of stuffing their feelings, stuffing their emotions, remaining resentful, angry, holding in their grudge for a long time, and then thinking negatively and really stewing on the negative thoughts. And one day they might blow a gasket or they get sick physically because they're turning it inward. We could turn it inward or we could turn it outward. So in this case, if this person is really convicted and was responsible for that killing, that is a disproportionate reaction to something that happened. It was real. What happened, happened. He was feeling angry. Nothing wrong with feeling angry. He might have felt disappointed. He might have had some negative thoughts, but he allowed himself to become a victim of those negative thoughts, the growing negative emotions that then ultimately have to be channeled somewhere. And we either stuff them, and probably some of us get sick and get cancer and get heart disease because of it, or we erupt once in a while. My father was a lovely man, a hardworking man, but he was the kind of person that kind of stuffed all his emotions and once a month blew up. Probably know some people like that. And that's not really healthy use of the emotion. So if we want to be successful, if we want to maintain our success, like I'm sure this guy, if he goes to jail for the rest of his life, might have a thought one day, I think I screwed up. I think I regret. I think I regret who I hung out with. I think I regret some of the cockiness that I had. I think I regret that maybe I thought I can get away with anything. And now my life is ruined forever. Because most of us were not taught in school or at home how to master our communication and relationship building skills by first and foremost mastering our own inner world, mastering our emotions, and mastering our mind. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, the mind, the rational mind, is connected to the emotion, is connected to our action, and is connected ultimately to our communication in our business relationships and our personal relationships. So even those of you that are in business, for example, this is a business communication show, and you're a leader, for example. If you don't master your emotions, then you're in danger of being a dysfunctional leader. You might be too aggressive and too manipulative and too controlling, or you might be too passive and your staff is getting away with murder because you're too nice a guy or too nice a woman, being too much of the people pleaser. In the middle is that confident, assertive, well-balanced individual. All of it is founded on emotional and psychological health. So the reason I'm taking this time today to focus on this show, on this topic, is because when I saw this in the news this week, I thought, you know what? That's my topic for the week, because it is one of the most important topics. We don't hear the news. Every day we're hearing news about cyberbullying. We're hearing about violence. We're hearing about the war in Syria and throughout the Middle East. We hear incessantly about violence. Ladies and gentlemen, if we go deeper into that, we're going to realize that that violence comes within self-hate and violence within ourselves, toward ourselves, and ultimately toward others. So hopefully you got some practicality out this. My recommendation this week is start to observe how you react to situations around you. And when you start to see yourself becoming overly negative and overly emotional, then sit down, maybe take a piece of paper, write it down, say, hey, why am I so emotional? Why am I so angry? Well, the reason is this, this, and this. What am I going to do to turn it around so that I don't have to become a victim of it? And then set a goal, run around the block if you have to, get into a punching bag, go out and relax, get a massage, go out and have a beer with a friend, take action to get back in the zone so that you don't ruin your life the way some of these people are ruining their lives. That's the show for this week. Allan Knight, the Allan Knight Show. Mike, thank you for producing it.
You're welcome.
It's always great. I know this was a quicker show, but I think it was a really important message I wanted to get across. Look forward to seeing you all next week. Take care. Drive carefully. Take care.